About 10 years ago when I was in graduate school in Baltimore, I used to help out in various communities that would need assistance for someone to say Mass for them, so different parishes and different institutions and such. And I enjoyed the experience because it gave me the opportunity to visit lots of different places, to kind of travel around a little bit and see different communities, different churches, and different religious communities as well, in order to celebrate the liturgy, but also get to know different people in different places. So I really enjoyed the experience quite a bit. One of the places that I would go quite frequently was a group of cloistered nuns right outside of the city of Baltimore. Group of cloistered nuns, basically what that means, it's much like the monks down at New Mallory Abbey or the religious sisters at Our Lady of Mississippi Abbey, the Trappistines, who live like in a monastery in community. They're not an active community like some religious communities that teach in schools and work in hospitals and various other pastoral work. Their work, their life, their vocation is about praying for their further betterment and closeness to God, but also for the world and the people around them. So this was a great little community. They kind of cloistered together and such, and I would go when their chaplain was either away or on vacation or whatever it may be, and I would have Mass with them. And so I got to know them pretty well. After I was there a few times, the Mother Superior of the community, I believe her name was, remember correctly, her name was Sister Rebecca. She said to me, "Father, I think I'm having a little bit of a problem." And I said, "Well, what would that be?" And she says, "Well, I think maybe you can help me with it. You're studying at Loyola and you're studying counseling." I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she says, "I'm kind of having a difficulty with one of the sisters. She is a little distant from people." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, she doesn't really speak a whole lot, and she really hasn't said anything that is mean, but it's just more of her actions." And I said, "Well, give me an example." Well, she was in the kitchen the other day, and she was getting ready for the evening meal, and she was peeling the carrots. And when Sister Helen walked into the room and began to speak, Sister Catherine began to peel the carrots really, really fast. Like she didn't really like that at all. And I said, "Yeah, you may have a problem there. That's right." In a sense, it's a reminder that it's not only just the words that we speak, it's also, in a sense, kind of our posture, our actions, the tone that we use that also speaks volumes about what we want to convey, the message we want to put forth. I think of all that because as I read the scripture today, particularly the gospel, it starts out by saying to Jesus and asked him the question, which is the greatest of the commandments? Now, most of the time when I read the scriptures, but the gospels, different groups, scribes, Pharisees, Herodians, Sadducees, usually when they come on the picture, there's usually hostility that is coming from their voice. They're usually asking a question in order to trip Jesus up, to embarrass him, to get him to say something that they can use against him at a later moment. But that's not the case with this particular scene as it sets up. It's an honest and valid question. Scribes are experts in the Torah, the law. And so to ask the question, what is the greatest of the commandments, he's asking for Jesus' opinion. And Jesus says, well, it is to love the Lord your God with all your whole heart, your being, your soul, all your strength, but then also to love your neighbor as yourself. The scribe agrees with him. We're on the same page. It's an example that you can, in a sense, be part of a group that doesn't necessarily agree with someone in all things, but still be very civil and still find common ground. The scribes were opposed to Jesus quite fervently and quite publicly, and sometimes in a very hostile way. But this scribe was finding this is what we agree on. This is where we have common ground, a common language, and we can walk this journey together. That's a good example. That is a good lesson for us to keep in mind. We approach someone to talk to them, stranger or foe or friend or whatever it may be. We're always assessing situations. Someone comes towards us and asks us a question. Our mind is just constantly working, going, is this going to be good or is this going to be bad? Even on the phone, you get these Phone calls, these numbers that you don't necessarily recognize. A lot of times you just ignore them. But every once in a while you answer the phone and, it's like, you're like, hello? And then there's a pause. And then someone comes on the line. And then your response usually is, what do you want? It's kind of like you're conveying, but not saying it, but you're conveying, you are annoying me. Why are you wasting my time? That speaks volumes to people. So it's a reminder that our interactions with people, how we approach a conversation, how we listen to someone, our posture, our tone are very, very important. The teaching that Jesus and the scribe agree on is essential to who we are as Christians. We all want to be treated with respect. And that's basically what Jesus and the scribe are agreeing that we should do. To love the Lord your God with your whole being, your heart, your spirit, and your soul, that begins with what we do right here. That's part of the reason that we're here. We're trying to, in a sense, kind of live that call, that commandment, that vocation, to do just that. We're not perfect by any means, but we're working towards that. And that's part of the reason we're here. We're asking for the grace, for the fulfillment, to hear the teachings of the Lord in order to be his true followers and to love him with our being, our soul, our spirit, everything that we have. But then to love our neighbor as ourselves means that we have to take what we do here out there. And it's hostile out there. It's not easy. That's why at the end of the liturgy we often say, go forth to love and to serve the Lord. That basically is to love your neighbor as yourself. So who is your neighbor? Ask that question first. Secondly, how do we love someone? Especially someone we disagree with. Can you still be civil to them? Can you still love them? Absolutely. I think that this particular passage says that is definitely possible. So it's a good lesson for us, a good reminder. Our tone, our posture, how we interact with people, but then also how we take this teaching that the Lord gives to us and we put it into practice. That's a good thing to think about and to challenge ourselves if we truly are doing what the Lord is asking us to do.